So FeiyuTech have brought out a brand new gimbal called the Scorp Mini 3 Pro, and it's got some pretty incredible features for $269 US. I mean, that's incredible value. That's what we're going to be talking about in this video. So the Scorp Mini 3 Pro is the newest gimbal from FeiyuTech. It's a powerful mini gimbal with a payload of 2 kilos. It's got a 14-hour battery life and a 360-degree pan rotation. Included in the box, you get a tripod legs, a smartphone mount that has a fan, a vertical and horizontal camera mount, and a whole bunch of cords and a GoPro mount. All this for a total of $269 US. Now, obviously, one of the standout features that we have to talk about first is the AI tracking module. There are a ton of pros when utilizing this, but there are a couple of cons that we do need to talk about. So yes, this AI module is pretty interesting because all you need to do is this OK gesture and it's going to track you really well. Now, one of the things is you can see that my head, there's a lot of headroom here and you can actually adjust the frame. So utilizing this right here, I'm going to adjust the frame so I'm pretty much framed there. And you can see it's adjusted the frame quite well, which is very handy. Obviously, you don't want that much headroom. Or if I want to be directly in the thirds, I can be right here, make sure I do this. So it will actually flash, the green will blink, and then it'll turn solid green once it's actually got there. But you can see here, I'm actually framed in the left thirds, which is so handy if you want to do any kind of instructional videos, or even just have some leading space. Like if you're actually filming a talent, you can actually try and get them to do that signal and frame them within that without you having to worry about putting them directly in the frame, and it will just do it itself. Even if I stand up, it will follow me, which is really, really interesting. The responsiveness on this thing is just absolutely incredible, especially for $269 US. Like, this is really phenomenal. So as you can see, one of the standout features is that you can actually remove this sling handle. That is pretty incredible. And one of the good things about this is that you can fully control the gimbal without this being attached. Now, when you actually remove that top sling, the gimbal is actually really small itself, but generally you would probably leave this handle on here just so you have 2 points of contact to have a little bit more control when you're actually utilizing this gimbal. Okay, now, one of the cool features, I'm gonna get this off. Sorry, coming in real nice and close. So you can see here, like I said in the studio, one of the cool features is this detachable sling handle. So essentially I can have full control over the gimbal with this, obviously wireless. So that is pretty incredible. If I do wanna put this on like a jib or a car rig, that's really going to be handy. I'm gonna stop that tracking. There we go, tracking stopped, there you can see. And now I'm gonna control it with this. So you can see full control over the gimbal with this. So left, right, down, up, very simple. That is very cool, incredibly handy in so many different situations. But every single feature that you have actually in the gimbal itself, you can still access through this because this is where you go through all your menu features. So really handy to have. So when it actually came to utilizing this on an actual job, this worked perfectly fine. Obviously, it depends on how you are as an operator when it comes to utilizing these gimbals. You can't just allow the gimbal to do 100% of the stabilization. You still need to walk nice and steady, do the ninja walk, keep your hands nice tucked in, and be as steady as you can. Any kind of gimbal that you use, you really just need to learn how to operate and be as smooth as possible. For me, it's probably 1% of my shots that I actually utilize a gimbal. 99% of the stuff I actually do handheld. So when it comes to gimbal operating, I'm definitely not the best out there. But in my opinion, this gimbal is pretty steady, but definitely go through the settings and adjust the speed that you want the gimbal to perform as well, because sometimes slow gimbal movements look so much better than jerky, fast movements. But it depends on the type of action that you're doing. Wonder how far back it's going to actually track. It's still tracking me? Yep, still tracking me. It's quite a significant difference. I mean, this is like 30 meters, maybe 35 meters. It's still able to track me. That's pretty wild. Can it stop tracking me? I can't see the LED light. It's that far away. No, it can't stop tracking me. But I can still control the gimbal from back here. Double press that mode button to go back to the start. It's still tracking me. How crazy is that? It's pretty fast too. One of the cool features is that it has 360-degree pan. There are a lot of gimbals out there that don't give you the ability to fully twist around in that pan direction, 360 degrees and further. This one just continuously rotates as long as you like, which is really handy. And it obviously just removes that limitation that a lot of other gimbals have. Now, what I did find is if I do go behind this pole, it's actually going to get a little bit tripped up. So you can see there. It does actually need to see that face. Otherwise it does get tripped up a little bit. Whether this is just going to be a firmware update, not 100% sure because this is pre-production copy as well. So there could be a few firmware bugs. Like I said, whether they could fix that in the firmware update, I'm not 100% sure, but this is what the tracking is going to be like. So maybe at this point in time with my copy, don't let things go in front of the frame. And you've got to be perfectly fine. But in terms of just how responsive this thing is, it's really good. So as you can see, I've got the ZV-E1 on here. It's a very light setup, but this can take up to 2 kilo payload, which is pretty heavy, and you can take pretty much all the large Sony Alpha cameras with a 24-70 G Master on there, which is fantastic. But pairing this with smaller cameras, it's just such a light and nimble setup, which I absolutely love. And you can see here, I've actually got it connected into the USB-C connection. Now you can actually connect this via Bluetooth, perfectly fine, but I prefer hardwired connection just so there's no real chance of it dropping out mid-shoot, or if you turn the camera off and on and then you have to reconnect it. I hate going through that. I just prefer to make sure that I put the cables directly in there, and they obviously supply those cables as well. Now that also gives you the functionality to control the f-stop, the ISO, and the shutter speed directly through this back screen. Now it is pretty responsive as well. All you need to do is select a specific ISO or specific f-stop, and it will almost instantly make that adjustment on your camera, which is pretty cool. And I can see those kind of situations being a little bit more handy when this is actually, detached and you don't actually have physical control over the camera itself. So it can suit a couple of different situations there. Now, one of the biggest pros about this gimbal that actually some DJI gimbals have an issue with is that when you fully undersling this gimbal actually allows you to tilt up, whereas some of the DJI gimbals don't actually allow you to tilt up, which is very strange. I don't know why that is when you're actually undersling, if there's some sort of limitation to what the gimbal can actually do, but this gimbal actually allows for that, so that is a massive thing, especially when you're doing those undersling shots, following someone. That is pretty good. Now, also talking about this control wheel on the front, you can program it to be not just the tilt, but you can also control it to be the pan. You can also control it for a follow focus motor as well. It really depends on what you prefer and how your workflow is. But for me, I prefer to control my tilt because I have the tilt locked off and I've just got the pan motion in there. So if you do want to go in for a close push in and then sort of tilt up, those are the things that you can actually utilize rather than just using that tilt pan follow and tilting the gimbal itself. Now, one feature that you do see in some of the other Scorp gimbals as well is essentially that portrait mode. So this will fling into portrait mode once you got that. The only issue I do find with this is that it is FPV portrait mode, so it does follow the action of your gimbal, but that's perfectly fine. You can still shoot, Instagram content or short form social media content in that vertical format. You've just got to make sure that your horizon is not tilted, but still, it's great that you can actually switch between that mode really quickly. Otherwise, you can turn the gimbal off and natively mount the camera sideways, which is very easy. All you need to do is take off the bottom mount, and then you've got this L plate that you take off, and then you literally just attach the camera to that side plate. So it is actually fairly easy, but if you are doing a long, social media 9x16 shoot, that's probably the best option as opposed to going into that portrait mode. Now, one major thing I do have to mention is this mobile phone mount. So essentially you can mount your mobile phone, but the big thing about this is that it actually has a fan on the back. So if you do long record times with your smartphone and you're worried about overheating with the high resolution video, this should obviously mitigate that because there is that fan there that's included on this actual mount itself. So that is a pretty big selling feature if smartphone videography is something that you are into. Me personally, not really into it, but it's great that this is added in the pack. Now, one of the useful features that you do have on the left-hand side is a 1/4" screw mount here. So you can actually attach your phone or a monitor to this left-hand side if you do want to try and pair it with your gimbal. But also if you do have this mounted on a car rig or a very specific rig, you have that 1/4" mount on the bottom, but you also have that 1/4" mount on the side as well. So you've just got an extra mounting point to make sure that this is, mounted correctly. So look, overall for $269 US at the time of this video, that is extremely cheap and very, very well priced. Like, it's kind of a no-brainer to actually pick one of these up for your smaller mirrorless cameras. Like I said, you can still, utilize your larger mirrorless cameras on here up to 2 kilos, but it absolutely is worth it to have in your kit, specifically with that AI module. So anyway, my friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. I'll put a link in the description below if you do want to check out the Scorp Mini 3 Pro gimbal. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get it.